Welcome back to the channel. Today we're reacting to an interview on artists. But before we start the video, I want you to consider checking out my second YouTube channel. The link will be in the description box below. Help me get this video to 500 likes. And as always, don't forget to like, share, watch more videos, and subscribe to the channel.
In this documentary, you will meet 4 women, Black and Puerto Rican artists from New York City. Many tapes could have been made about the women of color who have contributed in so many fields internationally: education, medicine, law, and labor organizing. The women you are about to meet number only 4, but their lives, their dedication, and their creative energies represent the millions of Black and Hispanic women who day to day struggle to create the possibility of freedom, justice, and equality for all of us.
We're never alone, unless we are one. We're 3, 5, 7, and 9. All alone, under the sun. We'll let our spirit shine. We might be in our lot, but peace and love is what we got. We might be in our lot, but peace and love is what we got. We're never alone, unless we are one. We're 3, 5, 7, and 9. They're gonna have to leave in a minute. All alone, under the sun. We're letting our spirit shine. We might be in our lot, but peace and love is what we've got. You better believe it, but peace and love is what we've got. Yes, and peace and love is what we've got. Right on, peace and love is what we've got. You better believe it.
Hi, I'm Gerri Hollins, and I'm from the Harlem School of the Performing Arts, where I presently teach chorus. I'm an international recording artist. I've been recording in the music industry for 20 years. I've been teaching at the Harlem School of the Performing Arts for 5 years. I'm also a professional playwright. And at present, we're doing a piece entitled Do Unto Others, which is an inspirational gospel musical. And that's going to appear at the Harlem School of the Performing Arts April 16th at 4 p.m. We'd like to have you come and join us.
What kind of music do you write?
Well, actually, I'm what you call a variety writer. I've been
I want you to answer that same question in the comments. What type of music do you like?
I started out writing R&B. My brother was with RCA Records for 5 years, so I wrote most of his rhythm and blues, which is R&B, charts for him and several other people in the industry. Then I moved into inspirational writing, gospel, I guess that's called gospel today, and I've been writing that for quite a number of years, yes.
How did you get your first start in music?
Oh, actually, I'm from a musical family, and I've been singing professionally since I was about 6 years old. My father is a jazz drummer, and he played with people like Jack Teagarden. My brother is a professional jazz trumpet player and arranger and singer. His name is Everett Blood Hollins, who used to play with Otis Redding, and he backed Aretha Franklin and a multiplicity of the talented artists that are out there now.
Let me know in the comments if you play any type of instruments.
And Chic, I'm sure you know of that group, Chic,
Yeah.
was his rhythm section for 4 years. That's Bernard Edwards and Nile Rodgers. Yeah.
What roles do music play in the community?
I feel like most artists, our music, my music, is outreaching. And right now I am writing inspirational music. And we are in a time now where we need as much inspiration as we can get. And I feel that in writing for just people in general, not just the community, we're world-reaching and sending out universal messages. So I feel that in inspiring these people, maybe somebody will listen to what we're doing and have a change of heart. You know, stay away from the negative forces that are, you know, grabbing us at every turn in the community and the world, so to speak.
Don't give up. Keep on down, down, down. Keep looking around and around. Don't you know where there's a will, there's a way? Don't give up hope. Seek, and you shall find us. Knock, and our door shall open with us.
Getting into the plays, what kind of plays do you write?
I've written 4 plays, musicals actually, and 1 screenplay. The plays that I've written, I wrote a piece called Wings Over Harlem, and We Don't Mean Chicken, Honey, which we premiered here at Harlem School in 1985. This summer we did a summer session here at the HSA Theater. Then we did 2 shows at Aaron Davis at City College. The other piece I did was Do Unto Others, which we're doing now, and that was written in '83, and it's a gospel musical, inspirational musical. In Search of Love is another piece that deals with abused children, and we wrote that. That was written in 1985. I wrote another piece, Christmas Comes to Odd Land, and that was a piece from Christmas Comes to Odd Land. We might be an odd lot, but peace and love is what we've got. We certainly are an odd lot here in Harlem. Yeah.
You seem like the type of person that's into the community. Why is that?
I grew up in a very large family, and we were community-oriented and people-oriented, I should say. Loving everybody, understanding everybody. Everybody has problems. We're not the only one that has problems. It's all across the board, all across the world. The Japanese have problems, the Chinese have problems, the Americans have problems. You know, and they're all human problems. So we're not too far removed from what another person is feeling. I sang 5 years with a CBS Sony recording artist, Japanese blues singer, Toru Oki. And when I got an opportunity to go to Hiroshima to see the devastation of the bomb, I saw a regimentation of little children melted down like iron ore, just melted, bones fused together because they had been in a nuclear holocaust.
Tell me the most disturbing thing you've ever seen or witnessed in the comments.
And now, until we decide to do something for ourselves and help uplift one another and look at each other as I am you and you are me, it's going to be devastating for us all. Because what affects me, it will affect you in the long run.
While I'm looking on the misery, Lord, don't let the gates of hell close in on me. While I'm looking on the misery, Lord, don't let the gates of hell close its doors on me. My Lord,
The lives of Puerto Rican women in the U.S. are marked by difficult and constant struggles against racism and limited economic opportunities. When Puerto Ricans migrated to the U.S. in the 1950s, under a U.S. government program called Operation Bootstrap, they left their island with promises of jobs and improved living conditions. 20% of the island's population was displaced to the U.S. under Operation Bootstrap, which in reality was a program designed to convert the island from agricultural production into a low labor cost free tax zone for U.S. multinational corporations. On their island, Puerto Rican women worked in agriculture, tobacco factories, and needlework industries. When they migrated to the U.S., 95% of Puerto Ricans relocated to urban areas, and women came to work in textile and garment factories. In these industries, Puerto Rican women have been particularly hard hit by the faltering U.S. economy. Between 1950 and 1980, New York alone has lost 59% of its textile and garment jobs to non-unionized areas in the South and to the underdeveloped countries of the Third World where labor is cheap. Accordingly, the participation of Puerto Rican women in these industries has dropped from 76% in 1950 to 26% in 1980. The unavailability of child care facilities has also served to keep Puerto Rican women out of the labor market. But the history of Puerto Rican women is a brave history of struggle against these conditions. Luisa Capatillo, born in 1879, led labor strikes and rallied for women's rights, both in Puerto Rico and in New York. Puerto Rican patriot and nationalist Lolita Lebrón took up the armed struggle to liberate Puerto Rico from its colonial status with the U.S. Following an armed attack on the U.S. Congress in 1954, Lebrón had been imprisoned for nearly 30 years. Her courage is an inspiration to all who hope and struggle for the independence of Puerto Rico from nearly 100 years of U.S. colonial domination. Dr. Evelina Lopez Antonetti, community organizer, worked for better educational opportunities for Puerto Ricans, while the poet Julia de Burgos expressed the lives and aspirations of Puerto Rican women in New York and on the island. The work of these women and of all Puerto Rican women affirm that despite the double oppression that Latinas confront, both as women and minorities in this country, their intellect and creativity flourish.
Describe your work in the film and video world.
Well, I've been working in film and video for about 13 years now, and what I'm currently doing is I'm a freelance consultant to a number of foundations and individual donors. And what I do is I set up grant-making structures for them to be able to give grants to independent film and video makers. I started working at Young Filmmakers, which is now Film Video Arts, and I worked on a television program called Aquí y Ahora for Caribbean American youth, and it was funded under a government grant, and then I just stayed in the field from then on, and here I am.
Are blacks and Hispanics represented well in the film video world?
I want you to answer that question, but I want to change it a little bit. Do you think blacks and Hispanics are represented well in the United States?
When I first started out, it was really pretty dismal. There were not very many Latinos, blacks, or Asians. Forget about Native Americans. And certainly not any women, Latinas. I think there's like a handful of Native American women. So I think that there's still a lot of obstacles and a lot of problems in the field, but it's a lot better than when I first became involved 13 years ago. So I'm certainly feeling much more hopeful. I think that projects like yours are real important because what they do is they bring young people, third world people, involved in the communications industry in a way that they couldn't do under any other circumstance. And, you know, the practical application, doing it, you know, doing a show, doing an independent video really teaches you everything about, in a sense, the communications world.
Have you confronted any racism
in developing your work? Any sexism?
Yes. I think that because I'm a light-skinned Puerto Rican, I think that it's a different kind of racism. I think that if I was a dark-skinned Puerto Rican, I would be facing a different kind of racism. You know, with skin color, a lot of privilege comes. And so the lighter you are, the more privileges you get. But the reality is that there is racism in the field, whether it's in the independent video and film community or in the broadcast industry. I think that when people think about Puerto Ricans, they think about brown people, you know, different shades of brown people who are in the service industries, you know, people who are running the elevators, people who are serving them, who are bus boys, you know, people who work in hotels, cleaning the rooms, whatever, in some element of the service sector, because that's what they're accustomed to seeing, women sewing in light manufacturing. I don't think that they think about Puerto Rican women as intellectuals. They don't think about Puerto Rican women as arts administrators, as producers. I think it's very insidious and very subtle. You know, it's not like somebody says, oh, you're Puerto Rican and you're not capable of doing this. I think there's this idea that somehow because you're Puerto Rican and you're a woman, you're not in a position to do the job as well as perhaps somebody else who might be male or white.
Let me know in the comments, when it comes to stereotypes, what type of jobs do you mainly think of when you think of Puerto Rican women as well as black women?
The sexism is very difficult. I think people are very, I think it's very hard for men, especially white men in the field, to take advice from a Puerto Rican woman. I think that they think about Puerto Rican women in a certain way. There are a number of ways that they think about us, but I don't think that they think about us as being powerful and knowledgeable and experienced in independent film and video.
What difficulties do you confront being a Puerto Rican woman in this society?
I think I had a hard time growing up. I was a light-skinned Puerto Rican growing up in Harlem with a very strict father who had a hard time understanding that I had a lot of energy and wanted to do things that were very different than what girls my age were doing. Certainly when I was growing up, you know, I was the interpreter in the family, and so I took everybody to the schools and interpreted, took them to the hospitals and interpreted. And so I had a foot in almost two worlds. You know, one was the American Anglo world where I spoke English and I was smart, and so I could get over a little bit, you know, and did well in school and stuff. And then there was this other foot, you know, in my home life, which was very, very different than the world that I had to interact with once I left my house. And, you know, that was where the family was, and that was where you spoke Spanish, or at least they spoke Spanish to you and you spoke English back to them. They just operated and functioned in a very different way, and so you grow up with these two sets of values all the time, and you spend a lot of time trying to make the two intermesh, and so that you're a person who has, you know, your own identity, and that you don't forget who you are and where you come from.
What can we do to solve some of the problems that we confront?
I think the biggest problem is really power. You know, people think that they don't have the resources, that they don't have the personal power to begin to change their own lives, let alone the lives of other people, you know, either in their community, in their building, in their school. So I think it's really an issue of people beginning to see that they are very powerful, that we are very powerful. We just don't recognize when we have power, that we have a lot of ability and a lot of skills in our communities that we are not using to address some of those problems, whatever they are, housing problems, health problems, you know, domestic problems, problems of relationships between people. So it's really an issue of empowerment, how people are made to feel as if they are powerless. And I think that, you know, media is a real important tool in making people feel powerless. Because the images that you put on the screen, if they are of people who are stupid, if they are of people who are incapable of dealing with their own lives, you know, dealing with their relationships, of dealing with society, with their economics, then you're going to start believing the images that you are, in fact, incapable of doing anything about your life, because that's you on the screen. That powerless person is you. I think that that's one of the ways in which, at least in media, we can do something, is to change those images, is to change the way that people perceive us, the way that people look at our images. And what are those images? It's a part of what's called the ideological formation of people, you know, the ideas that we all have about who we are, about the world around us, about what we're capable of doing, you know, the fact that we don't get history. You know, the earliest civilizations in the world were not in Europe, they were in Africa, they were in Latin America, they were in Asia. Europe developed much, much after that. But you never know it if you think about, you know, Western civilization. Everything is sort of built around the precepts, the concepts of Western civilization. And you never hear about the contributions of people of color. You know, the fact that the Mayans, the Incas were instrumental in the development of algebra, of astrology, astronomy, you know, very complex irrigation, agricultural methods of maintaining their societies. You know, when you think about the whole Egyptian history, you know, Tutankhamun and Nefertiti and Cleopatra, you know, those were black people. They're not European people, they're black people. We never think about those contributions, that those people led civilizations, and that there's a history and you know, our ancestors were people who have a real wonderful rich history. We don't know that. If you don't know that you have a history, well then you don't know who you are.
The obstacles black women in the United States face are seemingly insurmountable. Although they constitute the fastest growing labor group in the economy, black women earn only 84% of what white women earn and less than 50% of what white men earn. Nearly 1/3 of all black families fall below the poverty line. Of the 1 1/3 million black women who fall below the poverty line, over 43% are involuntary part-time workers who would prefer full-time jobs. Hence, access to health care and benefits are scarce. Only 1/3 of black working women have health coverage through work, while only 1/4 are covered by pension plans. Scant resources and limited access to opportunity force a cycle of poverty upon a large and important sector of our society. Yet despite so many obstacles, black women thrive. As politicians, philosophers, educators, political activists, and doctors, black women have made enormous contributions to this society. In the arts, black women have been a particularly strong force in American life. Writers such as Zora Neale Hurston, Gwendolyn Brooks, Alice Walker, and June Jordan have brought us to deeper levels of understanding of what it is to be black and a woman in America. Musicians from Bessie Smith and Billie Holiday to Sarah Vaughan, Nina Simone, and contemporary artists such as Whitney Houston and Cassandra Wilson have played and sung the profound joys and deep sadness of our lives. These women realized their creativity in a hostile society which would have preferred that they be silent and resigned. As such, they are our role models.
about your background.
Okay. I went to school at Florida State University, an American university in Washington, D.C. for graduate degree. I've worked as a dancer, performing with a lot of different experimental kinds of dance groups. Right now, I perform with Urban Bush Women, which travels throughout the United States as well as Europe. As a director, I've directed in regional theaters, community theaters, and for television. And what did I miss? What else?
How long have you been doing this dancing?
Dancing, I've been dancing since I was 16 years old. I started off in ballet schools and ballet programs. I went to college in theater and performing arts, and since then I've always loved dance.
How long have you been with Urban Bush Women?
Since it was formed 4 years ago. Okay, the Urban Bush Women is a dance company of all-female dancers who perform works based on the Afro-American traditions. They originate from black cultures, and they try to capture the parts of our Afro-American heritage that could come from the diaspora. Diaspora just means that you took people from one place and spread them out everywhere else. There's also a Jewish diaspora, you know, where people come from one place, but I guess it has to do with the belief that when they move to all those different places, they maintain some things about their original culture that are reflected in all the different places. For example, a friend of mine is doing research on foot patterns. If you look at African dance and the foot patterns of African dance, you could see the same thing in the way they do a Brazilian samba, and the same way they do the Cuban mambo, and the same way that they do tap dancing in the States. But all of them are a result of the African emphasis on rhythm, polyrhythms, for example, and using the feet to tap out rhythms. It's just reflected in different ways in different cultures, but it's the same influence.
Are there any dancers that you admire most, and why?
I think I admire Michael Jackson because his performance, because he's able to communicate through his dance. It's just something more than just the movements himself. Of course, there are many, many other dancers whose training I admire, but to me, any kind of dance is more than just being able to perform the steps or being a technician. In fact, I think that's true with any art, be it dance, theater, or video, that you're trying to communicate something beyond the techniques of the medium in order to give a message to the audience, because it's communication.
Why did you treat that girl that way? You said you really thought that you was the lowest kind of class. You never realized she was so refined, did you? Irregardless of what second. I said, you're my sugar, standing in the rain, and my sugar never
Do you think that blacks are stereotyped in dance, and how have they been?
I think that blacks are beginning to break beyond the molds of stereotype. With companies like Arthur Mitchell's in the ballet world, with Ailey in the modern dance world. I think that one of the problems with American blacks, and it's hard for me to talk about blacks in general because I see blacks in Brazil and blacks in Cuba and blacks in Europe, and I think each of them have their own appropriate background to share. But with American blacks, I think that there's a lack of connection with an Afro-American heritage in terms of dance. I'm speaking now folkloric dance, that often black Americans go to African for folkloric traditions and don't see the value of what they do here in America. If they know how to do the Lindy Hop, or if they know how to do double Dutch, all of those are American folkloric dance forms. So I think that blacks need to just expand in all different areas of dance. They need to study ballet and modern and folklore, as well as be aware of what their particular heritage can give to the art form. At the same time, I also think that a big problem with blacks in the arts in general is that they need to learn to take control of the medium, because it's the medium that helps to create images, so that we need to have more black. For example, I did a research. I used to work at Lincoln Center Library, dance doing videotapes about dance. And one day I decided to look to see how many black females there were in modern dance that were listed in the books, and there were 5. So I think that in all the arts, blacks need to take more control in terms of having more choreographers, more directors, more television producers, so that they're controlling the images that are communicated to the public instead of just looking for work within what's already set.
Do you study any other art?
I've studied theater a lot, and as I said before, I believe in blending theater with dance. I've studied piano, which I no longer do, but that helps dance, because in choreographing, like if you do musicals, you need to be able to read musical scores and things like that. I've worked in video, and I was mentioning to Liz once again that I'm interested in trying to blend the ways you can use video with dance. I worked in, as I said, doing dance documentation for Lincoln Center, and I recently came back from a Fulbright grant to Mexico, where I was trying to encourage Mexican dancers to blend video with dance and find new ways to create images by using the two of them, because I believe that you can take any idea and transplant it into any medium, and that by knowing the techniques of the medium, you come up with something new and hopefully good.
What do you feel when you dance?
Freedom.
Freedom. Thank you.
Freedom and the ability to communicate, and also I guess freedom is the best word for it, because you let loose of all the things that you often have to hold inside of you in everyday life.
Let me know in the comments, what does freedom mean to you?
Standing in the mud, I bet she's pretty muddy now.
Hey, soul sister, play for me a song of the sun, the moon, and the stars, which will take me far from reality, where problems cease to exist. Hey, soul sister, dance for me, a dance of uplifted spirit that is unrehearsed, which will lead me to an ancient land of beauty, pride, and harmony. Hey, soul sister, sing for me a song of inspiration, which helps me to walk that endless road of misery and keeps my head up when the detours keep me down. Hey, soul sister, draw for me a picture of 1,000 words that means strength, freedom, and hope. For that, my sister, that is what you are.
What is your occupation?
I'm a graphic designer. I like to refer myself as a communication artist, okay? A graphic designer is someone who creates by the use of words and illustrations and putting it in printed form for mass communication. Okay, examples would be book covers, magazines, catalogs, posters, leaflets, any number of those things.
Where are you from?
I was born here. I was born in Brooklyn, New York.
And your parents?
My parents, they're from Puerto Rico, and they came here in New York way back in about 1930s or 40s.
Did they look up to your work?
They probably have seen my work, but they more important to me, and I think to them, they look up to me, because although they don't understand what is it that I've been doing all throughout the years,
the bond between us, that bond of family, that bond, that love bond, is very strong, very strong. And as long as I'm respected and trusted in what it is that I do, it doesn't matter.
What do you want to accomplish in your work?
To give as much of myself to other people or to people. That's all I've been doing, and that's it. That's all I'll ever do. I decided to combine my skills and combine my communicative skills, my artistic skills, and use that to teach young people.
What do you want to train high school students?
My emphasis will be more on personal growth, to find out who you are, what you can do, what you can't do.
Tell me in the comments, what do you hope that the next generation learn?
What your interests are, what is available to you, which a lot of young people do not know.
I believe you made a trip to Nicaragua. Why did you go to Nicaragua?
I can answer your question in two parts. Number one, to see for myself what was going on down there. I don't believe, and I teach this to my students, you shouldn't take for granted what anybody tells you, nor of what you read in a newspaper, what you hear in a radio. I mean, it's fine, these things like videos and books gives you information, but if something tells you inside you, like, wow, that doesn't sound right, or wow, that does sound right, I wanted to know for myself what was happening, what was going on down there. So I went with this wonderful group called Arts for New Nicaragua, and it's a brigade that I went down with a bunch of artists, from theater people, singers, dancers, muralists, and I taught silkscreen workshop down there, and in turn, I got to meet the people and know a little bit of what was happening there, and that was it. And number two, because they're in the midst of war, why not go there? Why not give a bunch of kids a bunch of crayons and paper and let them forget for whatever moments let them forget that they lost their parents.
Tell me in the comments, what other countries and cultures have you experienced?
Let them forget they lost their brothers or sisters. Give them hope. Give them a little hope that if I am there, or all of us were there, or people from other countries go there, give them the hope that they are not alone, and that there are people who want to help them. Going to Nicaragua has been a very moving experience for me. Obviously, I went back, 2 times thereafter.
Do you plan to go back to Nicaragua?
Definitely, without hesitation. I will go back next year. For the wonderful reason that I have a wonderful goddaughter there. And I consider myself part of the family. I have family there. I have a place to stay. I have a place to work. I just miss the people. I feel very much at home there. It's like the country. It's like, I love the city, but there are times when, you want to have trees around you. You want to take long walks. You want to smell the grass. And I guess while people have country homes, I have a home in Nicaragua. Why not? It's a little further than going upstate New York, but I'd rather go over there.
And how do you feel, once you're back in New York after you've, went to Nicaragua?
That is an excellent question. I go through, I don't talk to anybody for at least a week or two. I think about whether I'll ever get to see them again. In terms of being where I am, because I slowly wake up to the reality that I'm living in New York. I live in the United States, which is the actual body that wants to cause harm to those people down there. And I must say, unnecessarily. I look at my pictures of my goddaughter, my family. I have to say, my family. I look at the letters, and I read them over and over again so that I know that these people exist. But every day I wake up like, flipping the dial like, what did the United States do today? Are they, doing something to my family out there? So it's strange.
Why do you think it's important to use art to fight for social justice?
I consider myself a specialist in communicating to those people on the lower class and on the middle class. Because it's these people united that, for example, in exercising their right to vote, they do have the power to make changes, to have more housing, to create more, to vote for more housing for people, because there are a lot of people with no homes. Okay, women who cannot work, although women who cannot work because there's not enough daycare centers. Okay, people to communicate that education is a right to all people. I have a great post that says, "Educación un derecho, no es un privilegio," which is, education is a right, not privilege. And before you asked me a question about ultimate gold, and I have to just go back to that because on a personal level, when I do my work for social issues, I give my best, and I want to be the best. And I don't give 100%, I give 200%.
Where do you see Puerto Rican women in the future?
Oh, you know what I think of? Star Trek. We'll go where no man has gone before. Puerto Rican women will go onward to avenues, to places where no man has gone before, and the women have gone before. So women will get there. Women will get there. So it's exciting in my own life. I don't feel nothing is stale or nothing is stagnant in my life. I keep going on, and I meet such wonderful Puerto Rican women. We're there. We're there. Don't ever think that we're not there. We're there.
We were born black, some Hispanic, women of the world that's been left back. But that's all right, we're gonna make a comeback. Give us the challenge and we'll face it. Give us the chance and we'll make it. We get education, study hard, but when the time comes for a good paying job, we get bored. I believe if we have the brain and can take the strain, we should be given an opportunity to gain or will remain the minority of society in decline of poverty. In this world of discrimination, we've been given a reputation. Poor, criminals who've broken the law. They don't even care if they're sure. They treat us like a disease and looking down is a cure, even if our hearts are pure. So they add us to statistics. Now let's be realistic. We're not just numbers, but yet you cut us down like lumber, and some say we're dumber. But that's not true, and given a chance, we prove that to you. When we walk down the street, guys whistling and taunt like we're cheap, and the police say first they have to beat us before we get action. We get raped, harassed. I wouldn't be surprised if my body turned up in the grass, face down. Now what do they say? They found another floating in the bay. But that's okay. That's 2 down, $1 million to go. And everybody's quick to say we're a hoe. But that's okay, we can deal with that too, because we have heart and continue. The history women have made seems to be an illusion, but let me clear the confusion. Winnie Mandela, Miriam Makeba, both from South Africa. Winnie made it a point to reach a goal. Yeah, she's that bold, fighting for freedom no matter what the toll. For in the end, it won't be money, but achievement she'll fold. Miriam Makeba, a South African singer, blacklisted for marrying an American revolutionary, but still going strong. Tough, I say very. It didn't make her leery. Mother Hale cares for the future, taking care of drug-addicted babies to ensure there's someone there who cares and loving is pure. For neglect, this is her cure. Now remember one thing and never forget, with courage and commitment in life you're set. Race, color, creed, nationality, there's always a possibility. Push yourself to the highest degree. Like women in history, there's nothing you can't do or be. Whether black or Hispanic, there's no need for panic. Be proud, speak loud, make sure every word is heard.
What I want from this video, I would love for the watcher, for you to have some type of connection with some of the people or just one person that was in this video, to be able to paint us a picture on how their lives turned out. What happened to them? Are they artists? Did they accomplish their dreams? Let me know in the comments if you accomplished your dream. What was your desires growing up? What did you want? What was you hoping to fight for? But as always, don't forget to like, share, watch more videos, and subscribe to the channel.